Okay, so we are live, and I have here to open today the G.I. Joe Classified Series Action Sailor Recon Diver. This is a 60th anniversary figure. The original G.I. Joe came out in 1964. So, 60 years of G.I. Joe. He's still looking good for his age, isn't he? he did have a little bit of shrinkage. So, of course, the original GI Joe being a 12-inch figure, and then it went down to a 3 3/4 inch figure, and now it's back up to a 6-inch figure. He's been an 8-inch figure. He's been 9-inch figure. Been all kinds of different scales, but currently they've been concentrating on 6-inch figures with the classified series. So I know a lot of people like of my parents' generation and in between my parents' generation and my generation, the 12-inch GI Joe that was their GI Joe, and for me, I first encountered GI Joe as the 3 3/4 inch figures, and that's my GI Joe. And I'm sure there's a lot of kids around today, like people in their 20s, who remember the figures from around 2002 or so, the new Sculpt era, as we called it at the time, and then the 25th anniversary figures on through the more recent retro card figures. They brought back O rings for a little bit. I think Super 7's going to start to do O rings soon. But Hasbro's mostly doing the 6-inch figures nowadays. So we got the Action Sailor. This is the first of the two 60th anniversary figures that I know of. Hopefully they'll do some other ones because I'd like to have the Action Pilot. I don't know how they would do the Action Marine, since the Marines have been kind of weird about uh, GI Joe using Marine stuff lately, like the Marine Corps logo and things like that. So I don't know if they could call a figure a Marine right now. I don't know if that's something they're allowed to do. So so we might not see him, but got a nice piece of artwork. Here's the full piece of artwork. And I'm going to try to do something with StreamYard here that I haven't ever done before. So we're going to try something. Let's see. Hmm. Just see if we're able to do this. Sorry, I'm experimenting. So I'm not sure how I would do that. Okay. All right. So I was kind of hoping I could figure out a way to throw a picture up on here. Oh, having a little bit of an adventure here. So mm, well, anyway, I was trying to go. I was gonna try to see if I could put up a picture of the. There we go. Okay, we're back. I was gonna see if I could put up a picture of the original Action Sailor box, because the pose of the figure here, it's based on the artwork from the original Action Sailor box, which, despite the fact that the Action Sailor himself is wearing his dungarees. For those unfamiliar, he's basically dressed like shipwreck, like your kind of 1940s looking sailor. The blue jeans and the denim shirt and the little Popeye hat. I'm not sure what you call that, but yeah, that's what the figure came in. But on the package, they had him depicted in the Frogman outfit, which you could buy separately. And this is the same exact pose that original artwork was in. Although obviously he's updated with the current scuba gear that this action sailor comes with, because obviously you wanted to like this action figure. It's actually in the package. Then we have a photo of our guy on the back here, all decked out, and got a little bit of detail of the scuba mask and this whole device on his belt. So yeah, I've been looking forward to these 68th anniversary figures. These aren't like characters from Real American Hero like most of the classified figures have been so far. These are harkening back to the original concept of G.I. Joe, where it was America's movable fighting man, and not necessarily like a specific character. You came up with whatever character, the kid was supposed to come up with that. G.I. Joe originally was kind of more like Barbie, where the kid was supposed to bring a lot of their own persona into it. And when I was a kid and they did the new version of G.I. Joe, well, what was then the new version of G.I. Joe? Star Wars was all the rage. So it was about like building a mythology and good versus evil. But this was more about kids like, using their own imaginations and figuring out what G.I. Joe was to them. So, they could build a team or whatnot, or, but that's why they all had the same head sculpt and everything, because, you were supposed to just, every soldier was G.I. Joe in a way. That could be their dad or their grandfather who, would have fought in, Korea or World War II or even World War One. So yeah, it does have the QR code on the side here. It does not have the weird esoteric symbols because, like, this guy's skills are whatever you want this guy's skills to be, basically. This guy's ethnicity is whatever you want his ethnicity to be, because he could be a white guy or a black guy. So, yeah, I had this shipped to my mom's house for reasons. And when I opened it up over there, my mom was looking at it and she's like, I noticed something disturbing about your figure. And I'm like, what? She's like, well, he's a black guy, but he's got like an extra helmet so you can turn him into a white guy. And I'm like, well, it's not necessarily you can turn a black guy into a white guy. It's like you can have him be a white guy or a black guy. It's like neither one of them is supposed to necessarily be like the default head. You can pick whatever head you want. So you can have and it's supposed to be an army builder. You're supposed to be able to buy more than one of these guys. So, you could have a whole squad with like, I don't know, 3 black guys and 2 white guys, or, 4 white guys, 1 black guy, like mix it up however you want. Technically, this guy's a repaint of Torpedo. So, you can mix Torpedo in with that too and have whatever kind of ethnicity you want on there of those 3 heads. So we're going to start taking the accessories out. So he's got this little device, which reminds me of Thunderball. So it's a little thing he can use for transport. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then this is the piece I'm really worried about losing, so I think I'm going to take this up next, because I definitely don't want this to go flying across the room, because it's so tiny. But there's some dog tags, so that's pretty cool. One of the things that was distinctive about the original G.I. Joe figure in the 1960s was he came with some dog tags, like on a little chain. And they were a little oversized because, you want to make sure that it's something that the kid can actually play with. Maybe choking hazards were a concern. I don't know. But so he does come with some dog tags. Doesn't seem to be any information on them, but they're so small, like I don't know what you would fit on there anyway. He has this Demolitions pack, which fans of the 1982 Snake Eyes will recognize that. So I'd imagine a lot of people buying these will probably wind up like giving that to their Snake Eyes figure for that reason. And here is a small rebreather and a scuba mask. And the scuba mask has clear plastic lenses. So that's neat. We have the spear gun. And this is the first accessory that I've run across in this set that's reused from Torpedo. It will not be the last, because our next piece is these fins. And these are the same fins that Torpedo came with, only these are all black, and Torpedo's had some red detailing to them, if you recall. So we're going to set those aside. These are pretty much identical, except for, obviously one's for the left foot and one's for the right foot. But other than that, they're pretty much the same. And then we have this. It's going to be hard to get out of here. This knife is like really embedded in the package. And it got a little warped. So I'm going to want to try to straighten that out. But you can see this nasty hooked knife. I like that. So that's cool. And then we have this device, which to me looks like a camera. But it might be some kind of like, Geiger counter or something. You see it's got like gauges on it. To me, it looks kind of like a camera, though. But I guess kids can pretend it's whatever they want it to be. The kids playing with it. And then, again, this is embedded kind of deep in the package, so I'm going to have a hard time getting it out. There it goes. Not as hard as I thought, but here he has a little submachine gun. Pretty cool. I'm assuming that this clip is removable. Yep. So I'm probably going to wind up gluing that in because I don't like the clips to be removable. I don't want it to fall out and get lost. So we'll set that aside for now. So he's got that submachine gun. So he's got a weapon he can use on land, and he's got one more weapon he can use on land, which is this pistol with a silencer attached to it. So I'm going to try to very carefully pull that out of here because since they already have the silencer attached to it in the package, I don't want to risk bending up the barrel or the silencer or however it attaches. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and pull that suppressor off of there. It does have a little hole in the front so you can put the blast effect in there, the little pew pew. I'm going to want to take those apart anyway, so I'm going to want to put those into his extra head popped out. Oh, I did pull it out. Okay, never mind. I guess I just forgot that I pulled it out. So his Caucasian head is over there somewhere. So, and then the figure stand. Every figure should come with a figure stand. And I noticed when I was looking through like the newest assortments of G.I. Joe figures, they do all come with figure stands. So I'm very happy about that. I've got like a bunch of them on pre-order right now. So this is just the first of my pre-orders to show up. I also have the Action Soldier that hopefully should be coming sometime soon. I have the retro figures of Duke and Scarlet and Rakondo. So those should be coming soon, hopefully. Got Quick Kick, got Techno Viper, got a lot of cool stuff coming. So let's see. He is embedded nice and deeply in this package. Got him out. All right. No rubber tabs. I love it when there's no rubber tabs. That makes me so happy. All right. So he's got a whole lot of gear that's already attached to him that we're going to go over real quick. So he's got this inflatable life vest here. Looks kind of like a Mae West. He's got a vest on underneath it. These are not the pieces that are molded or even pegged together. These are two separate pieces. He had a backpack that was already on him out of the package. So let's pull that off and have a look at that. So I'm guessing that's some other inflatable stuff that's around that. That's what it looks like to me. And a rebreather. So a larger rebreather than what he had. So we can put, I guess, whatever rebreather we want to on him because it's got little hoses on the side. I think this is the one that this is all seems to be one solid piece, and these hoses don't come out. I'm pretty sure this is the one that came with Torpedo, but if I was a smart person, I would have got Torpedo out already, and we'd already be looking at him. But I think he's over here, so let's see if I can find him real quick. Yeah, here we go. Yep, that is indeed the same backpack that Torpedo came with. So we can go ahead and compare with Torpedo and our new Action Sailor and see what all parts are reused on this body. I'm guessing it's going to be the entire body. So, yeah. So here's Torpedo, and you can see that he's got the distinctive coloring to his suit that the original Torpedo figure had. He's got the gray over his torso and all the way down his legs. And the Action Sailor actually has a black and gray suit. It looks like it's solid black on the camera, but trust me, it's actually got it's actually black and really, really, really dark gray. So so he does have like some differentiation there that gives the figure a little bit of depth. And indeed, the entire body, it looks like, is reused from the Action Sailor to or from Torpedo to the Action Sailor. The only difference is that the vest on this one and the web gear that's on this one. But he does have the same backpack that Torpedo had, but it doesn't look like he has the same scuba gear that Torpedo had. So it would have been nice if maybe that the scuba gear could come off and attach to the old Torpedo backpack, but it's just all attached to that small rebreather that's going to clip to his front. But you can see what I'm talking about, how like it's not the same head. Is it the same head sculpt? It might be the same head sculpt. They might have reused the same head sculpt from Torpedo and just gave him darker skin for the African American head. It might be the same head sculpt. It's kind of hard for me to tell, though. It is a very similar head sculpt. I don't think it's the same exact one, but it might be. I can't tell. If it is, they did such a good job with the repaint of the head sculpt. I can't tell if it's the same one. So that's impressive. So let's go ahead and see him with some of these accessories. Let's put the spear gun in his hand first, see what that looks like. And I might have to kind of do the thing where I have to kind of pry his hand open to get it. Nope, it went in there just fine. So there he is holding the spear gun. So take a look at him with the spear gun. And he does have the same little gadget on his wrist that Torpedo had. Some sort of technical bit. I'm not sure what it is. Now let's have a look at the knife. That nasty looking knife. I do like that. So there he is with the knife. And of course, the Action Sailor artwork has him swimming towards the camera holding the knife. But you can't really see it too well because it got cut off at the top there. But you can just barely make out the knife handle in his hand. I'd like to see this full piece of artwork. Hopefully they've got that somewhere, maybe on like a website or something, because I'd like to see what the full piece of artwork looks like. But yeah, there he is with the knife, holds it nice and tightly. So we'll go ahead and, since we've seen that now, we can put that in a sheath. There we go. Fits in the sheath nice and snugly. The sheath is a little loose on his thigh, but, not too bad. Let's go ahead and we'll get rid of the spear gun for now. And let's see him with the pistol. So he's got this automatic pistol with the long magazine, the long clip in it. So there's that. Looks pretty cool with that. I believe this is the same one that came with Stalker. It's definitely the same suppressor. So we can plug that into the front of that. And there he is with the suppressor. sneaking around behind the scenes, getting ready for trouble. So the vest actually has the holster and storage for the suppressor on it. So we'll go ahead and put the pistol into the holster. And there we go. There he is with the pistol in the holster. Fits in there fairly snugly, not like overly snugly, but like I don't think it should come out unless it's forced out. We're gonna set the suppressor aside for a second because I'm gonna put this submachine gun in his hand so we can see that. And this is the same submachine gun that Torpedo came with, of course. So there's that. So we can see those back to back. And of course, this suppressor should fit into the barrel of the submachine gun as well. So there he is with that. And since he does have this kind of life vest thing on here, I want to see if I can get him into a two-handed rifle position. And that looks pretty good. That's fine. I'm not going to bother to stretch the hand around the front of the rifle for now. But if you want to do that, you can. So that's cool. There's a couple little hooks I noticed on the back of his vest. So I guess he can store something back there. You can maybe hang the spear gun on there if you wanted to. Looks like it should fit on there. So he can probably store his spear gun back there if you want to. So, but he does come with a lot of accessories, so lots of stuff to figure out where to put it. Yeah, I'm not sure where to put this thing, but it's got like a little tab on there. You see a little tab? So that tells me that probably clips onto him somewhere. I just have to figure out where. So, onto this thing? I don't know. It's not like they come with instructions these days. We got to figure all this out on our own. So maybe it clips to his scuba gear. Aha! Yeah, there actually is a little. There's a little hole on the front of the aqualung, a little tiny aqualung, so you can stick that on there. So there's all kinds of places you can store stuff on these figures. A lot of the times, just sometimes you just have to figure out where it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out of his hand now. And since we've already put the suppressor on the submachine gun, we don't need to see that anymore. So I can put that into its little bespoke slot right here. And there we go. So now he's got all his gear where it's supposed to be. And that is a tight fit. The suppressor is very tight to go in there. So there we go. We got that taken care of. All right, let's move along. I'm going to put the scuba gear on there. And the scuba gear doesn't fit quite as snugly onto this head as I would like, but I think that's going to be okay because there is a little peg on the back of the aqualung, and there's a little hole on his vest. So obviously, that's pretty easy to figure out. So we can plug that on there. And since the vest's kind of rubbery and doesn't quite have as much support there, you want to make sure you got that in there fairly firmly. So there's what he looks like with the scuba gear in. So if we got the scuba gear in, we might as well put his flippers on. Oh, man, I put them on. I think I'm putting them on the wrong way. So there we go. And like I said, same flippers as Torpedo, only these are solid black instead of having that little bit of red detailing to them. So, but it is the same exact mold. So if you wanted to have Torpedo with some all black flippers, you can swap them out with this guy if you want to. So, but there he is with the flippers on, so we can see him what he looks like when he's swimming. And oops, I pistol out of his hand, or out of his holster. I mean, like I said, not quite the most snug fit there. So but I did manage to knock it out. So if you have him look up too far, he's gonna pull the tank out of his vest. I'm gonna try to put that back in there. So that's unfortunate. They probably should have made these hoses a little longer. But we can tilt his whole torso up like that. So when we put this thing into his hands, so basically when Thunderball came out, it was a huge hit. It was the fourth James Bond movie, and Goldfinger had already been a sensation. So Thunderball was riding off of the uh, the success of Goldfinger, and it became like I think for a long time like it might still be the biggest selling James Bond movie in terms of ticket sales. Like adjusted for inflation, I think Thunderball might still be the number one James Bond movie. Not adjusted for inflation, I believe it's Skyfall. But I think if you adjust it for inflation, it's still Thunderball. So a big part of the GI Joe line was inspired by Thunderball. There was a lot of scuba stuff that was inspired by that, and this device definitely reminds me of Thunderball because they'd have these things to kind of pull them along while they were underwater. Like, do 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 do. You can imagine that. So that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go that way because we can see that there's like a little view screen there, some kind of little display. Looks like a little radar thing, so you can ping, ping, ping. So it's cool that he comes with like I guess technically a vehicle. So okay, so let's go ahead and I'm worried about knocking this thing out and losing it, so I'm gonna set it aside. I do wish that was a little more snug. Like at first I was thinking it might stay in there pretty well, but now I'm like, it's kind of rattling around in there too much. I don't really trust it. So we're gonna take off the scuba mask and the little aqualung and set those aside. We're gonna take off the flippers and set those aside. And we're going to see what else we can do with this guy as far as the accessories go. So let's pop the African American head off, the black head, if you prefer. I don't know. I just feel weird just calling him the black guy, but he doesn't really have a name. Just like the white guy doesn't really have a name. So we'll come up with a name for him because I don't want to call him the black guy. So what I'm going to call this guy, I've decided is I'm going to call him Wet Down because in the Real American Hero collection in 2001, they had a repaint of Torpedo that they called Wet Down. So I decided that's going to be that character. Now, I do believe Wet Down was painted to be a Caucasian character, but whatever. They changed the races of characters enough in movies and TV shows. I can do it in my action figure line. And this guy, I'm just going to pretend like he's Duke because he's a blonde-haired white guy. So, I'm sure a lot of people are going to use that for the scuba version of Duke. Why not? So let's go ahead and put the dog tags on him while we're at it. So I took the Mae West type vest off of him, and I put the dog tags on him. So there we can see our guy with the dog tags. Pretty cool. And they do fit nicely around his neck. I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of this accessory in the future. I would love it if just every G.I. Joe came with these dog tags. And then you could have the option of displaying them with the dog tags on. I would love to get some of these for some of the Cobra figures that wore like dog tags of, I guess, captured GI Joes or killed GI Joes. So, but yeah, that's what he looks like just with the vest on, and the vest's pretty cool. Like, I think that would be something that would be really neat to see as like an accessory. Like you could probably put these on other figures, just reuse it for other figures. Like, and I think it would work really well for them. It wouldn't necessarily have to be like a scuba guy vest, even though it does have that tube on there. But you could just kind of like, if you didn't paint it in, maybe you wouldn't notice it as much, kind of thing. So, and just for the sake of being thorough, we'll go ahead and see what this white guy looks like with the frogman mask on with the scuba gear, so you can see what that looks like. But with all the stuff stripped off of him, that's when we get into more like where we get into the land part of the mission. And we can put the demolition pack over his shoulder, see what he looks like with that. And we'll go ahead and give him the submachine gun back. Okay. But yeah, clearly this vest was, I'm sorry. Clearly this demolitions pack was designed with Snake Eyes in mind. So I'm imagining a lot of people that are going to buy this, it's never going to go onto their Action Sailor. They're probably just going to take it and put it straight onto their Snake Eyes. Or if they're a little industrious, what I would do is, since it is molded in like a kind of an OD green, I would probably go ahead and repaint the whole thing black before I put it on Snake Eyes. And I might do that after, once I get a second one of these Action Sailors. And I do want to have one displayed with each head. So I want to have at least two of these. And they can be dudes to back Torpedo up in terms of like his various missions. So that should be pretty cool. The peg came out of his scuba gear. That's another thing that I like better about this scuba gear, is since it does attach at the back here, I can kind of do this thing where I have the mask pulled up over his face, so you can see. I can still have him wearing the scuba gear, but still have him displayed in such a way where you can see his face. Whereas since this attaches in the front, he kind of always has to be wearing the scuba gear if you want to have him on display with it. So he's either wearing it or he's not. There's no other option there. So I'm pretty happy with this 60th anniversary Action Sailor. There's a lot going on here as far as the accessories and everything like that. I want to see more figures in this style, like that aren't necessarily like real American hero characters, but just kind of like regular military figures. And you can always use them with your real American hero characters. You can use them as like backup characters for your GI Joes, your GI Joe team. You can come up with like original characters for them to be. Or, like I said, how I've decided I'm gonna put the darker skinned head back on there. I would decide this guy's gonna be Wet Down. This is gonna be Wet Down in my continuity. So that's how that's gonna work for me. And I definitely need to make a wetsuit figure at some point. So I'll probably wind up getting an extra one of either Torpedo or the Action Sailor to do the wetsuit figure with, because I'll need to have the scuba gear for him. I was never able to find the Cobra eel either. I like he'll show up on Amazon for a little bit, but every time I realize he's up there, by the time I do, he's gone again. So I'll see somebody post on Facebook, "Hey, the Cobra eel's back up on Amazon," and it's like that South Park bit, and it's gone. So I'm going to go ahead and gear this guy back up for his scuba mission again. So yeah, this is a neat figure. I definitely recommend it. So with the Action Soldier and the Action Sailor coming out, that should give you some troop building options for your G.I. Joe figures. So you can have just kind of like some background troops milling around. I know some people don't like the idea of like the green shirts that you see on the cartoons sometimes, because G.I. Joe is supposed to be like an elite counter-terrorist force. But at the same time, I do think, sometimes you just want to have like some utility players milling around in the background. They don't have to be like the marquee characters. So you can always pretend he's still an elite guy. He's just like, some of these guys that are in the background that we don't really know who they are yet. So maybe they're just junior members of the G.I. Joe team that just haven't earned their code names yet. I think that was how they did it in the Devil's Due comics. So, all right, I'm going to try to put the pistol back in there. Oh, dang it. Some of this stuff just isn't made to I think, to stay on the way it ought to be. So I'll put the pistol back in there in the holster. Since I'm done pretty much playing around with them, I'm going to stick this device back in the front there. So there we go. There he is again, geared up for the scuba mission. Looks pretty cool. And let's just get one more shot of like, we'll put Torpedo's mask on. And Torpedo does not have, I want to note again, does not have clear lenses in there. It's just an opaque mask with the lenses painted in gray. And this guy's got the fancy lenses that are actually clear. And it looks like to me the actual mask portion is the same mask. It's just the hoses glued into the front of the mask are different because Torpedo's got these longer hoses that attach into the backpack, and this guy just has the shorter hoses that attach into the Aqualung in the front. So since he does have the Torpedo backpack, I'm guessing you can pretend that like it can be hooked into both somehow. Like maybe that tube is what hooks this Aqualung into this Aqualung, and so that they're all attached together. So again, just use your imagination. Oh, by the way, since I forgot to mention it earlier, he does have the clip on his backpack, so you can hold the submachine gun into it like that. So again, all kinds of different ways to store stuff. Those little hooks there, those, like I said, they can hold onto the spear gun. So if you wanted to be holding the submachine gun, you can put the spear gun onto those little hooks on the back of his vest, and he can carry all that around with him. So I do love how these figures just have storage for all this stuff. It's great to be able to just put all the gear onto the figure. I love that. So Action Sailor definitely gets a recommend. I'm glad I was able to get this guy. Like, I don't know why he showed up so ridiculously early, whereas everything else I have is still due to come out in April. Or in the case of Quick Kick, May. He's going to be a little bit later than everybody else. I guess he's too busy shooting commercials and, the Arctic with his shirt off and no shoes. Not the sharpest tool in the drawer, huh? Anyway, so that's pretty much it for the Action Sailor. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this guy. And let me know what you think about the original G.I. Joe line, the one that started it all, the one that this guy is in homage to. Another thing I always associate with the Action Sailor is that episode of Seinfeld where the girl he was dating had that vintage toy collection, and he just wanted to put the scuba outfit onto the sailor, and she was mad at him for playing with her toys, and they must never be touched, and basically winds up like roofing her so you can play with her toys. I'm like, Jerry, you got money. eBay is a thing at this point. You can just go and get some of this stuff on your own. Like, I know a lot of the vintage GI Joe guys in the community around here, the guys that run Joe Lanta and Toy Lanta. They're all really nice guys. I love those guys. And they were talking about the original scuba outfit. And you're talking about like at the time I was talking to, it would have been 50 years. Now it's like 60 years. And you're talking about stuff that was basically like the material that they used to make an inner tube for like a bicycle tire or something. So it's not like it's stuff that was made to last for decades. So if they've got one of these old scuba suits and they don't want it to get dried out, they have to like treat it with special oil and keep it in like an airtight wooden box and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I could not handle the responsibility of owning a vintage GI Joe Frogman outfit. Like I could not deal with that. It's like you're buying chores. you're just buying yourself some work to do. It's like I couldn't deal with that. So I was telling another friend of mine about it, and he was like, "It's like buying a little old man you have to take care of." Ah, yeah. So I'll take my guy with his scuba suit molded onto his body already, and not have to worry about all that. Oh, here he is with the figure stand. It does have little holes in the bottom of the fins, so you can stick them onto the figure stand. Thank you, Hasbro, for beginning to include the figure stands on here. I'm gonna have to give you props every video where I see a figure stand, just like I do with McFarlane. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye.